All right, good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, August 14th at 9 a.m. We'll start our work session. Anybody in the room have any public comments? Anybody online have anything they'd like to bring up? Okay, we'll kick it off with Marion from CODSN.
Yes.
Is that you guys?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, Mary and Christina.
Christina?
Yes. She said right behind you.
Yeah, you can come just right behind me if you wish. We just want them to come a little bit closer. They have a presentation here for us, so.
Go ahead.
You're also free to sit down.
Yeah, if you want to sit next to Brian, it's your call too.
Yeah.
We are good to go.
Perfect. So, yeah, welcome to our family network. We are Central Oregon Disability Support Network. Briefly, as we said, I am Maren Nyman. We are, something really cool about our nonprofit is that every worker is either affected or has a family member that is affected by either developmental or intellectual disability. So my why, I have a 16-year-old brother and his name is Kellen. He has an intellectual disability and I am the program coordinator for Crook County.
Yeah, so thank you for having us here. I am Christina Robertson and I am the program coordinator for Jefferson and Crook County. I am a parent with a child with developmental disabilities. Her name is Paisley. She's 11 years old. We are a military family, so we have experienced moving around and having to establish care and her providers at every location. So that is my why as to why I'm with the organization.
Yeah, thank you.
So who we are is CODSN. We are a nonprofit offering peer-delivered support to children and families along the journey of disabilities. We help families partner with their community that they are living in. We also help families navigate systems, meaning education systems, medical systems, and just resource systems. We currently do serve in 8 different counties. They are listed on our slide. That's gonna be Crook, Deschutes, Jefferson, Klamath, Brant, Lake, Harney, and Wheeler counties. So we are expanding all over Oregon.
A little bit of an overview of what we do. So we do, like Christina was saying, special education support and new diagnosis support with systems. We do connection and peer delivered support. We have quarterly family fun events. So we go to our counties and we host a night where families can come out, connect with each other and be with each other while getting support. We have Spanish bilingual staff. We do a program called Jason's Run and Recharge where we give gift cards and other things like that out to parents so that they can go enjoy a night out without their kiddo and not being a care provider. We do trainings and webinars, community education, and person-centered planning trainings. And then also an emergency preparedness program where we give out backpacks and kind of teach people how to be prepared in case of a natural emergency, natural disaster. We do a lot of referral and information, so like Christina was saying, peer delivered, giving them support in that way. And then just recently, we started a lot of youth programs, so 16 and under, having groups come together and hang out and just have fun. And then we are all under Rising Star grants.
Yeah, so the reason why we're here today, we in Crook County is we are trying to work hard to bring families together so that youth in rural Oregon communities can have a better support system where families are free from additional barriers, isolation, and less access to services. So we want to break that barrier for the families here in Crook County through our organization. And Mary?
Yeah, we hope to be able to connect Crook County families with, other resources and each other, and so this fall resource fair would really be doing that. We hope to give families access to support and trainings early on, leading to better outcomes for their children.
And we just hope that, allowing us to receive this waiver, for the, Fairgrounds Pavilion and also the food waiver. We are a nonprofit, so we do procure our own donations for the food. So we're hoping that through that, we can bring out a great resource there, allow other, similar, networks to be able to be at the resource fair with us so that they can also further on their connections with families and provide their support. Yeah. And then the last slide is just how you can get in contact with us, more of our website, and that is pretty much it and why we're here today. So if we'll open it up for any questions, if anyone has questions.
That would just be the Casey, what's the total cost they're looking for?
You know, I'm sorry, I was unprepared for this. I didn't realize this was happening.
Oh.
I'll have to get back.
No problem.
It's minimal
I-
at this point?
I believe it's somewhere around the $300 range.
Yeah, I think it's 288, and I'm sure they've been dealing with Haley. I apologize. I didn't.
No worries.
that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, what do you think, Susie?
She is unmuted. Already.
She says she can't hear anyone.
That was before. We were still muted when I started. Susie, can you try talking for a second? If you're talking, we can't hear you. Miss the chat. Unmute tab. Well, no, she's showing as unmuted right now. Just mute and then. That's what she was
Well, I
at.
wonder if she's muted on her computer.
Susie, try talking again. Is your computer volume muted itself? Because you're unmuted on this Zoom.
I can go with exclamation.
I think that means her microphone is not working on her laptop. I think I've seen that same thing when it's the owl here for this issue.
What do you think, Brian?
I'm fine with it. I just do it and take it out of the funds that we.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Certainly.
it seems like a really good cause and, it would be just a great opportunity to help those families here, so yeah.
Yeah, and we also would like to, if there is a process in the future to develop a plan where we can potentially be exempt in the future from using, or is this something that we would have to continue doing
I
each
think,
time?
yeah, I think
Okay.
we've tried a few different options and it may change again, but
Okay.
I think this is what we found is the best. For you just to come and talk to us.
All right,
I appreciate your presentation, but
Yeah.
you know, now that we know who you are, I think you could probably shorten that.
okay,
We could just have a quick conversation.
that sounds great, yeah.
Do you have a target date for when the event is?
Yeah, so it's gonna be October 10th.
And with that,
Yeah, and it's gonna be from 4 to 6. Thank you guys so much for having us today.
Yeah, thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Casey.
Eric, do we need a motion or do they need to, is this something that needs to go on consent?
For right now, might be better if we hold off on any motion, because we're not certain what the cost is. So it may be well below the threshold that requires permission.
I can, it'll be under $300.
Okay,
Yes, I believe it's 288.
so, yeah.
They have on their paper, 30888.
Okay, yeah, I'll check when I get back. I'll let you know. Okay, thank you.
So we can always put it on consent.
Yeah.
If needed. They have enough time. to handle that.
Katie?
Good morning, everyone. I want to start by saying that CODSN has been an organization that we've really enjoyed working with here in Crook County, and they put a lot of effort for being a regional organization. They put a lot of effort into being present in Crook County, so I want to give them kudos for that. And for the work that they've partnered with us on in emergency preparedness, specifically for families who either care for someone with disabilities or who they themselves have disabilities. It's so important, especially in emergencies, that they have the right tools to be able to take care of themselves until help can get to them. So thank you, CODSN, and I appreciate that you were able to present today so more people could learn about what you do. My agenda item is much less exciting than the work that CODSN does, but it is a contract renewal with Oregon Health Authority to allow the health department to generate funding through the Medicaid match process. So any work that we do that is not billable, directly billable services, we go through a process of tracking qualified time that our staff spend that support people who are on Medicaid, but that aren't necessarily a direct service. So things like some navigation of like helping make sure that they have transportation to get to appointments, talking with our partners about how to make Medicaid services more accessible. So that's a really important revenue source for us because it is a lot of the work that we do, but we can't necessarily bill directly for it. I don't think there's any more context. We will have another contract come through with Multnomah Education Service District, which seems really random for this body of work, but they're the ones that process all of our time studies and Medicaid batch payments. But this is the Oregon Health Authority contract renewal for that process.
Great, thanks, Katie.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, good job, Susie.
Perfect. I had to do a lot of switches. Thank you, Katie. I'll be quiet now. Okay.
Thank you all.
Let's move ahead on the consent agenda.
Yeah. Gary?
Morning. I can make this quick or long, but I'll start with quick and then you can ask questions if you want it long. I am submitting 2 proposed changes. One came up kind of during the wage study, the compensation study. Our victim advocate supervisor has not received 5 steps that other support staff has received over the last few years. And she has worked for almost 25 years as a victim advocate. She's been our supervisor, as you all know. She's responsible for managing our grant funding, the VOCA grant, and really running the victim advocacy department in my office. So I am proposing a merit-based 2-step increase to thank her for her diligence, hard work to the county, and really dedication to her work and trying to adjust. She's never complained, and that's really unusual. When other people in the office were getting step increases and she was topped out for so long, she still remained 100% dedicated, 100% hardworking, always there, no matter day, time. She runs our victim impact panel. She's really the face of our office for our victims, as well as dealing with a lot of our offenders through the victim impact panel. The second one is Jane, who is a legal assistant 1. This request has nothing to do with merit-based. It is merit-based, but I'm not asking for it in any relation to an adjustment for having topped out. She came in, I brought in I brought her in at a legal assistant 1. She has a very lengthy career of, been with our office about a little over a year now. She worked for the school district, she worked for Yamhill County, TA's office for a while. And I am trying to bring in people and really work and focus on opportunity for career growth and paths and working on building retention by creating a path for advancement in our office. So she has for a long time been doing a lot of legal assistant 2 work. So I'm asking to move her. My plan was at her 1-year anniversary, which took a while to get this on. But for her at her 1-year anniversary to move from a 1 to a 2, which is the work she is currently doing anyway. Questions?
Just, you know, I'm sure we have to work it through the system we have to continue to be within that system, as long as it works within that system.
This has been being discussed for several months now. I've worked with Will as well as finance. And as you all know, we have a lot of turnover in my office anyway, so budget wise, it works. And part of what I'm trying to build is making sure that we're putting in place an opportunity for growth to try to retain people longer, and I think we can address that and help move towards that end goal. She'd be moved to a step 1 at the legal assistant 2 rate. She is currently doing all of that work, training the newer legal assistants who are coming in, working with our chief on our most serious offenses, the sex abuse, homicides, things like that. So she's already doing, and she's currently handling 2 attorneys on top of that.
Susie, you got something to weigh in on?
I just want to commend Julie. I met her. She takes on the hard cases because she doesn't want to burden her other 2 employees. And we are very, very fortunate to have her. And when she retires, it's going to be a tremendous loss. So whatever we need to do, particularly, I trust your judgment on your legal assistant, but for Julie, I have appreciation for the job that she's doing, and hopefully we can figure out how to do that.
Yes, yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I've known her as long as I've worked here, and she's a great employee. All I want to make sure is that we go through the right paths and we don't
Yep, and that's part
stray
of why we're here.
from the study.
Yeah.
Looks like Will's nodding, saying he's been through that and he's comfortable with it, and you're saying it's part of your budget, and so.
Yeah, this is, as I understand it, a promotion for 1 employee and a 2-step increase for another. So our policy requires 2-step increases come before the board for approval, which is why Carrie's here, and the same with the promotion.
Perfect.
I would ask to either authorize Will to sign the PA forms, which I've prepared and sent to Sarah, or if the commissioners want to sign them, that's fine. I didn't submit them because it's their personnel file. Seemed a little disrespectful to the employee.
Yeah, I'm good with Will signing them.
Yeah, I'm too.
And I echo Seth, so long as you've gone through the process, I'm good with the increase.
I'm also comfortable with Will signing.
Oh, you're saying you want us to decide
Whatever,
today?
and you can put on the consent, whatever Will prefers on how to handle it. We've been talking about it for a couple of months now, so whatever you need, I don't care what the process is.
I think the current policy requires board approval for 2-step increases, so I would just put it on the consent agenda, and then we can discuss if we want to update that policy, just to be consistent with the policy for now. I guess alternatively, you could make a motion here today.
I think that was the question. If
Yeah.
we could.
If you want to direct me to sign it via motion, I think that's fine. As long as it's clear you're approving.
I think we have unanimous approval of the board, and so I would just make a motion that we approve it and that it be signed by the assistant county manager.
Second. Or I guess, yeah.
And, okay, I second the motion.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Well, do you need to, I have a copy printed, and I also emailed it to you, which do you prefer?
I can just sign it right now. They can move on with their agenda.
Casey?
So I'm here to notify the commissioners of a vacancy on position 4 of the fair board. Just for our commissioner and boards policy, this is the action we will take, so.
Yeah, yeah, I've really appreciated Linda. She's really done a great job, especially with vendors and. I remember quite a few years ago, I think I was actually on the fair board and the vendors were a total mess. They would just willy-nilly put them up throughout the grass area and, she has really come up with a plan to regularize that, where it's set up, it's in lines, and so she was a huge loss, but she's put in her time, so I'm not.
Yeah, she's served several years on the fair board and, want to commend her for all her input. And, she wants to focus on the Queenie thing, which she is involved in. So she did say she'd come back and volunteer. So I don't know if we've lost her.
Yeah.
I don't think she wants a Monday night meeting. So anyway, I just commend her for what she's contributed.
Susie?
Oh, did we lose you, Susie?
Yeah, I just want to say, obviously, what a great job she's done, what a loss it'll be. But I think we'll still get her. I think she'll still be around. But anyway, thank you for all her work.
Yeah,
She'll always be a volunteer, just in a different.
I got the book in there.
Okay, well, thank you, Casey. We'll start that process.
My question on that for you, Casey, do you want me to go ahead because she said that she was resigning effective immediately? Do you want me to go ahead and advertise for that?
There's
open
4
spot?
months on this, left on this one term.
Yeah,
So, I would assume that we would advertise whomever
okay.
is gonna have to reapply
Anyway, okay, so
anyway.
we'll go ahead and advertise for this one position, and then when we get closer to December, we'll still advertise for the
Correct.
other ones that,
So Casey Kaiser's in the other, and he's brand new.
yeah,
He'll
he'll read, yeah, perfect,
But he wants to continue, correct?
Yes, he does.
yeah, we'll just reapply.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Casey.
Kelly?
Sure. Good morning. I wanted to bring, I guess to your attention, some information in regards to the FAA runway reconstruction project. I think everybody's aware of the project, what we're doing. Now the FAA is funding 90% of the project, which is over $4 million. Typically, the FAA has provides the funds through those grants or the grant offers 3 to 4 times a year, spring through fall. Our specific grant has been teed up for the last round, and for whatever reason, I don't know the details, they're really squeezing it down to a very short window for the grant offer to be signed, approved, and returned to them. As a time from on 8/6, when I provided this agenda item request, things have changed a little bit since then. So when I wanted to discuss this, I think they were telling me I had the acceptance deadline by September 12th. After that, I got a letter or an email from the FAA stating that, let's see, what's the date? That they are going to plan for announcement on September 9th. And you will have 24 hours to sign the grant offer. So we have a very short window where we actually get the offer, sign it and return it to them, so it doesn't leave an opportunity to go through our usual system. Now I know John has is aware of this. I think there's, I think Brian is the one that's authorized to sign on the grant. So I just wanted to create the discussion so everybody was, you know, above board, knew what was going on. So the request is to have Brian sign the grant offer out of court. So we don't have to decide this today. I think it's something that John has teed up for later down the road.
Well, we can, so we have the draft of the grant agreement in the packet, so it's, you know, been available, public available to you guys. As he said, we only have 24-hour turnaround from the time we actually see the official grant before it has to be sent back to the FAA if we want to get the money. And so the idea in my head would be that we pass a motion on the condition that the final grant is substantially similar to the one that you guys have seen in the packet. So we can either make that motion today and would authorize Commissioner Barney and myself to sign within that 24-hour window, so we don't have to have a special meeting when that comes out. So we can either make that motion today, or we can put this back on the agenda closer to September 9th. It's up to you guys. But
I'd just put it on the next consent agenda, just to be safest.
consent agenda won't work because the motion needs to be on the condition that the final grant is the same as what they've given to us as the draft. If the terms are different, you guys need to review that again. The one that they've sent us is very similar to the ones we've had in the past. So I don't have any concerns with that, but just in the off chance that what comes out is different than what we've had before, I would recommend a formal motion instead of putting it on the consent agenda.
That's fine. So just put it on the discussion for next meeting.
We can do that, or we can just do it right now.
I would just like to do it right now and get it over with, so it doesn't get filed up and we lose $4 million plus.
It's gonna,
How long do we have till the next meeting?
well, we have time. So in the email, it was kind of vague the way she said it. She said that they're basically making this a top priority and they expect it to be September 9th, but it might be earlier. So we really don't know. It could be,
We just have to set ourselves up for worst case scenario.
Yeah.
Which would be September 9th, and we have returned by September 10th. That's worst case scenario. Hopefully it'll show up somewhere in between.
or it's if it could come early. I mean, earlier might be worse if we're planning on not approving it until closer to the 9th. And so I think the sooner we can get approval and just be ready to go for when it shows up, the better.
This is all dragged out because the FAA hasn't had any money.
Yeah.
And I think this is just another opportunity for them to, if you don't comply, you don't get it in, then we're not gonna spend the money. So let's go mess it up.
And we already have, you know, obviously this project has been in process. We already have the engineering and design. There's been money spent. FAA spent money, we've spent money. We're ready to move forward. So it'd be, a huge loss is $4 million worth of construction, money. And we already have, money invested in, design and engineering over the past year for this project. So pretty important.
Susie, you got something?
I so move, we move forward and allow, if John reviews the grant and is fine, that Brian is allowed to sign, and I don't think we need to go any farther with it. So I make a motion. John, help me with my motion.
I would make a motion to approve the FAA grant and authorize Commissioner Barney and Assistant County Counsel to execute the FAA AIP fiscal year 2024 grant agreement on the condition that the final grant is substantially similar to the draft copy that has been reviewed by County Counsel.
I make really good motions. So moved.
Since you made that good motion, I'll second.
Yeah, just in discussion, can we put something on the next meeting to talk about it, just so we do talk about it? I mean, I'm fine with us having the ability to do it. I just want to make sure that we're having enough information. I don't think anybody's going to be against it. I just think if we can just have more information out there, is that anything that would?
No, I mean, we can walk through the terms and the value and the project and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, I think it's exciting. I mean,
Yeah,
I
it
want
is.
to highlight a great thing we're doing, you know?
I think Kelly would love to get that discussion.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I'm totally fine with it as long as we highlight it at the next meeting and talk about where we're headed. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, professional service agreement, Precision Approach Engineering.
So what this is obviously what you just read, the professional services agreement for Precision Approach Engineering. For the FAA projects, they require us to have a professional service agreement with a qualified engineering firm. So we've been through this numerous times through the years. Precision Approach Engineering has been our engineer of record for the past 5 years. So going forward, well, actually back up, last spring, we went through an RFQ process, and we advertised, went through an interview process and the procurement process that the county established for the RFQs. Successful candidate was Precision Approach Engineering for a second term, I guess you'd say. So this is, I guess I'm looking for, this is a discussion for either for approval today or maybe consent agenda, or if you want to discuss it, the next meeting is the approval of their master contract. And to be clear, this is a master contract with the engineering firm. Each individual project, such as the runway project or whatever individual item that we request them to service, will be individual task orders. So we have a individual contract for each procedure. This is not a coverall contract. It's just a master contract. Again, maybe some help from John, how we want, if we can approve this today or our request for approval for today, or if you want to just discuss it.
I think it's probably on the consent agenda for next week.
Okay.
Yeah, everything you said is right. This is the master contract. We set up the RFQ so we could have them on board for basically all the projects that are coming forward, and let's get task orders for each one, and like the other ones, they'll be paid for through FAA grants. So, doing, I guess, Sarah, be sure it's got an effective date on the front page of the contract, and just write in August 21st, the next meeting. I'll talk to you. Otherwise, it should be good to go on consent.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay.
They are a good engineering firm. So they do a great job.
Yeah. Specifically with airports, they're good, they're experienced and done a good job for us in the past.
I really enjoy working with them.
They're very thorough.
All right, thank you.
Well,
Alrighty, this item, is for an amendment to our contract with Parametrics. Parametrics is, our consulting, firm that is helping us with our transportation system plan update. This is a, proposed amendment to dive a little deeper into Juniper Canyon and alternative routes. So it will include looking at up to 3 alternative routes. It'll look at kind of, I don't know if this is a word or not, but the constructability of those routes, and give us some kind of estimated costs for those routes. So I think this is an important addition to the work that Parametrics is doing right now for us with the transportation system plan update. It will give us some options to have meaningful conversations with the public about what they feel are the best solutions for an alternative access route out in Juniper Canyon. So I think it's an important add-on to the transportation system plan update. I had an email exchange with the consultant this morning. I think we are on track to hopefully have some of this work done early this fall and have some more public outreach meetings in mid-October. So that was kind of the tentative schedule we discussed via email this morning. We're going to hammer that out during our project team meeting tomorrow, but we're going to shoot for as early in October.
And that would be where they would have specific projects with the general idea of.
That's my understanding.
And something that they could actually show people so that people could get a buy-in and we can figure out, once we get that, I think it's important that people understand that we'll have to find dollars for that.
Mhm.
But I think until you have that, I think it's gonna be virtually impossible to go to the feds or FAPA, flap grant, or those things until you have an actual plan. There's no way we're gonna get any kind of buy-in from different agencies, so.
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion over the years about different options, but to my knowledge, we really haven't taken a deep dive into what's feasible, what's realistic. So I think this is an important part of the conversation that'll help move the conversation forward. So the consultant was out of town the last week, so I don't have a contract, but I do have the proposal in writing. That's part of the packet here. So what I would recommend, since this is just going to be an amendment to the existing contract with parametrics, is that we put it on consent for next week, and we'll have the contract ready to go for next week's meeting.
Perfect. Thanks for getting on this, Will.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks, Paul.
Yeah.
Okay, Will, do you have any report?
The only thing I have today is, I brought this up a few weeks ago, with the wildfire risk map, the process for the state in terms of moving forward and getting the new wildfire risk map adopted is continuing. The public comment period ends tomorrow. We have not heard at the county from the public in terms of any concerns about the map. I have had a conversation with Russ DeBoot. It sounds like there are some concerns in Brasada. That's something I've highlighted in some of my conversations with the state, because there are just kind of random lots out in Brasada Ranch that are high risk, when the overwhelming majority of the lots in Brasada Ranch are moderate risk. And I cannot for the life of me figure out why some of the lots are high and the rest are all moderate. That's important because if you're in the wildland urban interface and you're high risk, then you're subject to defensible space requirements and a higher building code standard. Brasada is one of the more, it stands out, but we have other properties up Juniper Canyon that are in a similar situation. So my plan is to, because the counties have an additional opportunity to meet with the state and discuss the wildfire risk map, I think that's scheduled for later this month. And we reached out and said we want to be a part of that conversation. My recommendation at this point is that I on behalf of the county, submit some comments before the deadline tomorrow that are consistent with the concerns I've expressed previously. John Eisler and I have had some additional conversations about some other issues we may want to include in that comment to the state. But I think what's going to be most important is that conversation later this month with the state, where we can actually sit down with the folks and really, in a relatively firm manner, express our concern with where the map is today, because there are still issues with it. We have, arguably we have fewer lots that are both high risk and in the wildland urban interface, but the equity of how those decisions are being made is something I can't explain to the public. And I think it's really unfair for the public to be subject to these rules when we can't meaningfully explain why one neighbor is moderate risk and the other neighbor is high risk. So at this point, I think the map's, it's got some inherent issues that need to be addressed if they're going to stick with it. I just still think we're a ways away. So
I've had some pretty in-depth conversations with Brandon from AOC, so I've been working with him about giving a presentation once the elected officials have the opportunity. So I'd like to continue to pursue that. He talked about working his legislative connections to pass forward the information that Will's sending to him, kind of soften them up before they get there, because he did, I agree with Will, there's no scientific reasoning why one lot is in the worst case than the other. And so it's just ridiculous. I mean, we can sit here and complain about it for hours, but I think we're on track to, we're using AOC for their deal. And so, yeah, I'd like to just continue that along. Susie? Maybe start over. We didn't, you were kind of choppy.
Wonder if maybe should get a written letter and maybe send it on to the governor or associated agencies, just that it's written, it's there on paper. Write a letter and possibly besides just our discussions. I totally agree with Will. I'm just wondering if we just had a bullet point letter of our concerns and now it's kind of written in stone a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
Yeah, I agree with that, Susie, and think that it should come from the Board of Commissioners, so at this meeting, I'll make a motion that we be able to put that letter together and sign it out of court and send it in.
And I will second that motion.
Any discussion?
Raise my hand. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
We heard your second. Any
Okay,
discussion?
perfect.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Great, so we'll put that together. We'll continue to talk with Brandon and we can continue to get this thing moving forward. All right, Susie, looks like you have a letter.
So, yeah, so we got a request for, to send a kind of a template letter back for rural development funds. And so I had Brianna and Sarah go through it and I added on the evacuation center for the fairgrounds. The reason being is that that was one of the suggestions that Senator Wyden said to go after. So I would like to sign it. I've approved that if we go ahead and do that, that they can use my stamp. If the two of you are in accordance, and there's no edits that you want to make. Can you hear me again? I'm getting a low network. Okay, perfect.
What I'm hearing you say is if we get a letter together and you're good with it, you're fine with us using your stamp.
We have.
Yes.
If you have any edits.
Oh, this letter, okay, I thought we were.
Yeah, the letter's there. Unless you have an edit you want to make, I am totally fine with that. Basically, it's saying we need to retain the funding for rural development and yeah. So I would make a motion that we sign the letter as presented by myself today.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Anything else before we go into executive session?
I have one thing. I've been trying to come up with a date, tentatively had a date to have a ribbon cutting. But it's kind of a moving target. And so I will know a little better today, but I had tentatively, we had talked about the 30th of August. And I'm thinking that we may need to move that and do it in September. And so maybe I'll send out after today, we'll send out we're gonna send out something to everybody and try to come up with a date. It's hard to get a lot of people together to make that date, but,
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm also gonna be at a dunk tank earlier and I was gonna have to do a bunch of stuff to get ready right after.
oh. So you're not objecting?
No, I'm happy. No, I was getting kind of concerned of the time frame of the dunk tank and then the
Going from a tie, from a bathing suit to a tie?
Yeah.
More than a towel.
Yeah.
Okay.
We wear a robe.
Yeah, so it's kind of what it's looking like now, but there'll be more fall.
Yeah. No, that's fine. And I was happy to make it regardless. Yeah. Okay, the Crook County Board of Commissioners will now meet in executive session under ORS 1926602 for purpose of conducting deliberations, purchase, sending of everybody, real property transactions. Representatives of the and designated staff shall be allowed to attend executive session. All members of the addressed in the room. Representatives of the media are except the general or specifically directed not to reporting deliberations or any executive session except the state of substances announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, return to open session and welcome guidance back in the room. And that was under ORS 1926602E for the purpose of conducting deliberations with persons designated by the governing staff, governing body to negotiate real property transactions. The Crook County Board of Commissioners will now leave executive session under ORS 1926602E for the purpose of conducting deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions. Representatives of the Newsmeer's designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the Newsmeer specifically directed not to report any deliberations during the executive session except the state. The general subject of the session is previously announced. No decision may be made in executive session. At the end of the executive session, we return to open session and welcome guidance back to the room.
So commissioners, on that 2E item, I would recommend a motion to direct staff to proceed as directed in executive session.
So moved.
I second that.
Any discussion?
Did you hear I second it?
Yes, ma'am.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Great.
Commissioners, I have one more item. Last week, we made an executive session. After executive session, commissioners made a motion to have the county manager interviews on August 20th from noon to 4. There were 4 separate interviews of 1 hour each. One of the candidates was unavailable at that time, and so they're available at 11 o'clock. And so I think we need to adjust that schedule. Instead of being on August 20th from 12 to 4, make it August 20th from 11 to 3. The whole meeting will be an executive session, so I don't think the public would be too disadvantaged from this change, but just out of an abundance of caution, I recommended a new motion to amend that meeting time in executive session from 12 to 4 to now 11 to 3. And then I think Sarah can send out new notice to the website and to our email partners. Correct.
Yeah, I can do a notice for that. The only thing would be the notice will not hit the paper because it hit the paper yesterday with the 12 to 4 time slot.
Yeah. So trying to. Fine. Okay.
So recommend a motion to amend the 2A executive session for August 20th from 12 to 4 instead to have it from 11 to 3. And that's in the county annex.
So moved.
I second that.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, if there's no-
Susie? Is that 9?
Aye.
okay, if there's nothing else, we'll adjourn the meeting.